not in the arenas or stadiums of the modern world, but in the distant past, where ancient civilizations, from Egypt to Persia to Greece, played stick and ball games that served as both sport and training for war. And while these early games varied in rules, equipment, and intention, they shared the spirit of competition, strategy, and physical dexterity that would later define hockey, with ancient carvings, paintings, and texts depicting men chasing balls with curved sticks, revealing a timeless fascination with the chase and the strike. And by the Middle Ages, similar games were popular across Europe, especially in the British Isles, where peasants and soldiers alike played chaotic, often violent variants on frozen ponds and grassy commons, laying the cultural foundation for the two dominant forms of modern hockey: field hockey, which took root in England and was later codified by elite schools, and ice hockey, which developed in the cold north of Canada and was influenced by First Nations games like shinty and lacrosse. Field hockey as we know it emerged formally in the mid-19th century, when schools such as Eton and Harrow created structured rules, and in 1886, the Hockey Association was founded in England, bringing uniformity to a game that would rapidly grow in popularity, especially in the British Empire, where colonial administrators, soldiers, and civil servants carried the sport to the far corners of the globe, particularly to India, where it was embraced not only as a sport but as a means of national pride and expression. And by the early 20th century, Indian hockey players were crafting a unique, artistic style characterized by incredible stick work, dribbling, and passing that would mesmerize the world. Meanwhile, ice hockey had taken form in the frozen winters of Canada, where immigrants from Europe combined their traditions with native influence, and by the 1870s, the first recorded indoor hockey game took place in Montreal in 1875, using a flat puck and codified rules. And as ice hockey developed, it gained momentum at a furious pace, leading to the creation of amateur leagues and eventually professional play, with Lord Stanley, the Governor-General of Canada, donating a silver cup in 1893 to be awarded to the best team in Canada, a trophy that would become the Stanley Cup, the most coveted prize in North American sports. As both forms of hockey evolved, they split into parallel yet intertwined worlds, with field hockey becoming a dominant Olympic sport, first included in 1908 for men and 1980 for women, and with legendary dominance from countries like India, which won an incredible 8 Olympic golds, including 6 consecutive wins from 1928 to 1956, led by the greats like Dhyan Chand, a wizard of the stick whose control, goals, and humility made him a demigod of the sport and a symbol of Indian excellence during colonial rule and post-independence pride. And as field hockey spread, countries like Pakistan rose to rival India, producing legends such as Hassan Sardar and Samula Khan, contributing to one of the fiercest rivalries in sport, one marked by sublime skill and political undercurrents. While nations like the Netherlands, Germany, Australia, and England developed rigorous systems and tactical depth that elevated the sport into a global affair, ice hockey, meanwhile, became enshrined as Canada's national winter sport, with professionalization crystallized in the formation of the National Hockey League (NHL) in 1917, which would grow from a small regional league into a massive global enterprise featuring the world's best players and historic franchises like the Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins, Chicago Blackhawks, and later, the Edmonton Oilers, whose dynasty in the 1980s was led by Wayne Gretzky, widely regarded as the greatest hockey player of all time, known for his vision, passes, and record-breaking career that redefined what was possible on ice. And as ice hockey expanded, it became central to the national identity of countries like Russia, then the USSR, Sweden, Finland, Czech Republic, and the United States, leading to a series of dramatic international showdowns such as the 1972 Summit Series between Canada and the Soviet Union, and the unforgettable Miracle on Ice at the 1980 Winter Olympics, where a team of American amateurs defeated the mighty Soviets in a Cold War-era stunner that was both sporting triumph and national mythology. As the decades advanced, both codes of hockey saw technological, strategic, and cultural transformation. Field hockey adopted synthetic turfs in the 1970s, which made the game faster and more tactical, reducing the dominance of traditional dribbling and increasing the importance of precision passing and structured defense, prompting changes in stick design, footwear, and coaching methodologies, and leading to a shift in global balance as European and Australian teams adapted quickly and rose to consistent supremacy, while nations like Argentina became powerhouses in women's hockey with stars like Luciana Aymar, often called the Maradona of hockey, known for her grace and creativity, and Asian teams like South Korea, Japan, and China emerged as formidable forces with intense fitness, discipline, and speed. Similarly, in ice hockey, the introduction of new equipment, video analytics, and systems-based coaching turned the game into a blend of brutality and beauty, where tactics like the neutral zone trap or power play formations became just as important as raw talent. And with the fall of the Soviet Union, a flood of Eastern European talent entered the NHL, enriching the league and diversifying its style, while international tournaments such as the World Cup of Hockey, the Olympics, and the IIHF World Championships became stages for epic clashes and national pride. Meanwhile, women's hockey, both field and ice, grew dramatically despite systemic underfunding and underrepresentation, with landmark moments such as the USA vs Canada Olympic ice hockey finals becoming some of the most watched and emotionally charged games, and female field hockey players gaining professional contracts, increased media coverage, and developmental structures that promised a more equitable future. Hockey, however, also grappled with many trials, from violent injuries and debates over physicality and safety, particularly in ice hockey with its enforcers and concussions, to the struggle to maintain grassroots interest in a world saturated with digital distractions and rising costs of equipment and facility access, and with global warming threatening frozen lakes and synthetic turf needing sustainable alternatives, the environmental and economic challenges also loomed, yet hockey endured because of its soul, its raw thrill, its moments of poetic speed and crushing impact, its shared codes of respect and honor, its village-level leagues and back-alley stick fights, its tribal chants from fans clad in blue, red, green, and gold, its cups and medals and legends passed from one generation to another, from Diane Chong to Jamie Dwyer, from Gretzky to Crosby, from Tune de Nuiher to Manpreet Singh, and from Hayley Wickenheiser to Ronnie Rampal, and in modern times, the game continues to evolve. New leagues like Hockey India League Hill and Pro League bring the world's best field hockey players into weekly combat, while the NHL expands into non-traditional markets like Las Vegas and Seattle, and youth academies across Africa, South America, and Asia fuel the dreams of boys and girls who have never seen snow or stood on AstroTurf but love the feel of a stick in their hands and the echo of the ball against a goalpost. Initiatives promoting inclusivity, such as LGBTQ+ representation, indigenous outreach programs, and anti-racism efforts, are gradually rewriting the sport once confined by tradition and elitism, and digital platforms now allow fans in remote regions to stream games live, analyze plays, and follow their heroes in ways never imagined, while AI, biomechanics, and data science enter training camps, enhancing performance and injury prevention with algorithms and sensors. And as the sport steps into a more connected, demanding, and socially conscious era, it retains its essence, that of team over self, of fierce loyalty, and of stories carved in ice and turf, like when a 10-year-old slaps a tennis ball with a broken stick in Nairobi, dreaming of Olympic gold, or when an aging goalie in a rural Canadian league still throws on his pads for one more winter weekend game, just to feel the rush. Hockey is not just a sport, it is movement, rhythm, war dance, ballet, chess, and thunder all rolled into one. A universal language spoken in slap shots, drag flicks, poke checks, reverse hits, saves, screams, and smiles. A game that has inspired songs, poems, films, revolutions, and friendships. From the backstreets of Lahore to the canals of Amsterdam. From frozen rivers in Siberia to sun-baked pitches in Johannesburg. From the Olympic cauldron to neighborhood rinks and schoolyard dust bowls. And whether it's a child mimicking a hero or a nation healing through victory, hockey remains a story not just of sticks and balls or pucks and goals, but of humanity, its struggles, its triumphs, and its endless pursuit of excellence in the face of gravity, odds, and each other.